can do things like I want to start a business. So now to the my profile, look at the whole network, and it will help me to find somebody who will help me to start a business. So I'm saying initially join Founders HK. I can pick the Founders HK and see if it's situated as well. It's like I'm going to start on it. In this case, it's found at post, and it's directly check out here process here. If you click here, it's already post directly. Okay, so this is what I built. I also have some charts here. You can open the chart, you can see conversations in the chart, it's close to the conversation. You can see here as well. I go back. For some of you already saw that I've saw details, but this is what I built. And I did this in 2 weeks. There was no prior preparation for that, right? I started this. This was my beginning. So this was 22nd of March. I wrote a blog post and I have an idea, and I have these drawings. And what happened is that on 22nd of March, when I published that, a bunch of people reached out, and on 29th of March, I found my co-founder, and we actually checked the hands and decided to do it together. On 5th of April, we joined hackathon and we built something for the hackathon. On 15th of April, I had the sales demo, which I'm showing to you right now. And now we actually built as a company because it was check. We raised money from actually 4 different founders, all backed by Y Combinator. We just applied for Y Combinator as well. And we planning to launch MVP on 26th of May. There's a huge difference between building like a prototype and building a real product. But I found Whiteboard absolutely essential was the way this journey shaped up. Being able to build a prototype and show it gets people excited. We raised just money before we write any line of code directly. We raised just money based on the idea, based on the product. Even today, when I'm going to invest in a company, I'm showing prototype because MVP by idea. So this MVP you just saw is a vehicle which is driving for company. By now, with 8 people working out together on that, and this enthusiasm to actually build it again from tangible prototypes of something to real people can touch. And it's possible with live model. So I will show you a bit more about my process. So first thing I did is that because I'm a designer, I started drawing. So I drew this item, and I was saying, imagine it is glassy material. And then actually, as part of my process, at some point, I tried it into ChatGPT and asked, can you make an item with glassy material? And it was actually quite good. I can show you as well. Go to the big one. This is not what it did. So this was original sketch. This me updating a little bit with color, and then me fitting it into AI. This was AI version, and this is final version done by me. So it's a process of collaboration between me and AI. I draw this, AI draw that. Then I try to correct it with this red line, say like, I want it like this, and it didn't work. So I end up drawing it myself here, but I was in many ways facilitated by AI, for sure. And then at some point I was like, okay, I wanted the same a bit more glassy, so I put this, fit it into this, put a bit more glassy version, and did like a dark mode and light mode as well. Yeah.
Yeah, can I ask why did you use a square, like kind of a squarish, a triangle, and a circle?
This is fundamental shapes. Just the idea of tall person, squarish person, and roundish person.
Right.
Just the idea of people being different.
Right.
So very different shapes of people. people of all shapes and colors.
Also have another question. Why community actor?
Because
You are, it's leading question because you're a very good community person. So,
thank you. Well, I guess it's coming from personality as well as other aspects, but I actually tried to build a community before. I built something called View Space, which was a social network for co-working spaces, 2013, 14, 15, and I miserably failed. I never found a good product market fit. I ended up in 2016 in Shanghai building it for WeWork, and then people kind of imploded, so it never saw the light of day. But ideas about how to build a community and how to connect people kind of stayed in my back in my mind for a very long time. So when I had opportunity, and it's kind of weird because I joined the band and I was supposed to be busy, but I felt like I joined the band maybe my life work balance will be better than before at the start. So I decided maybe I will find some free time, and I decided to start writing and maybe make it something on the side in a very chill, very relaxed mode. And then it exploded, and in the 6 weeks become a huge product, which is now consuming all of my free time. I was too careless. So be careful with whiteboarding. It's going to lead to side project is exploding.
Addictive.
Yeah. Oh,
A gateway drug.
it's very addictive. At some point in this process, I was building an app, and I was writing code. 12, 16 hours a day. I was just on the weekend, just writing constantly. And I had some issue with this code. So I called my friend in London, who is a professional as developer, and I asked him to help. And when I asked him to help, it's kind of sounded to me almost like a prompt. Like, hey, I have this issue there, can you fix it? And he was so slow in fixing it compared to the AI. And I realized how I judge him because I just had experience of writing code with the AI. It's kind of like asking a person to help you to do something. So I had this immediate direct comparison between working as a person versus working with the AI. And the AI was wrong but fast. And I was annoyed with the real person being too slow in understanding me, giving up the context and diving into things. Eventually, the real person was right. And the real person was more professional in doing things. But this comparison and the fact that we can make this comparison and the fact that it's inevitable that we're going to make this comparison in our lives, there's more and more agents becoming available. It's a bit insane. It's changing the way you perceive others, the social relationship, because you have relationship with the others.
Are you warning us that it'll make us anti-social?
Not necessarily, but I'm just it's going to set standard. Like you're going to expect more from a human because human needs to be professional, and if you're not professional and fast, then by a rather words working with the AI, right? And it sounds horrible, but it is what it is. Yeah. So my friend was very helpful, but the fact that I needed to reflect on that was interesting. I'm going back to this thing. So this is me as a designer. This is my process, right? So I start writing this kind of things and just sketch a scripts. We just saw it's how it is in the final product. This is how it is in the sketch. This is the same ideas. Profile, requests, search, how search will work. And I had this idea of talking to contacts. I wrote another blog post about that. At this time, I didn't have an idea of the middle part yet. It's very obvious when I didn't have this idea now. And then eventually, through conversations with David, I come up with this idea of a middle part of it. Kind of what that's to make it more prominent. And then after that, being a designer, I thought logically, okay, I will do the prototype. So I put together this. And because we button, the video that people, I have this crazy idea that going to have like an action on the side, it doesn't work at all because it's occupied too much space. And compete with search on alphabet here. Of course, because it's a single prototype, you can keep on the one space, right? You can, if you know where you click, you can pretend it kind of works, but it's all pretend. It's not a real app, it's just a bunch of screens wired together in a prototype. And then you can go to community. So I built this in a few days, and then I thought, okay, maybe I can try to write code this automation, and then jump from this immediately to this. And it was so inspiring. It was so invigorating because suddenly I have complete clicks on people. I can click anywhere, right? I can click on any person, see profiles, see data, and I want this data through AI as well. So all of this data is generated by AI as well. So if you go to code, this is Cursor, and we can open my Lips app, demo app. This is the structure where we have data, a bunch of JSONs, very straightforward. We have connections, we have data versions, invites, network. Maybe people is the easiest one to see. So we have a JSON of people describing a person. Is invited by location, RSVPs, current company, name, all of these things. And again, because I'm using AI, I was able to ask it to add more people and edit something else manually. And when I was doing connections, I was asking, hey, can you just randomly connect some people to some other people and connect everyone to me? So if you go back to the app and switch to somebody like Paulina, if she goes back to the list since last week, because she connected to last week. So what you notice maybe already is that this app doesn't have login screen. It doesn't have the flow of recovery of your email. And I teach in design as well, and I notice this is the most common mistake that people do. Prototype will start from beginning, but beginning is never useless. Login sequence start many times before by so many people. If you build a prototype, you need to start from what is the most important experience of the app. So if you build an app which is about dating, you need to start with your knowledge of swipe left, swipe right, and a profile. And if you can nail that, then you have a very useful prototype if you assign people. In my case, the AI interactions was the most important bit. And I was so happy when I managed to put it together. And again, it's on device voice to text recognition. So I didn't need to hook up any models there. And then it's a model. ChatGPT is, of course, I broke all the rules, all my keys and everything was just directly code. It worked. And tonight, I think what we could do is to try to build something similar together. How many of you on the Mac? How many of you on the PC? Okay. So people who on the Mac, do you have Xcode? Who have Xcode? So
That's good. You saw the email. That's good.
I want to suggest to maybe first start with Xcode and do a things so that people do on Xcode can follow. And then what you can do is to maybe do something different, a little different for everybody else. But then if you do something different on the PC, it's probably not be like a web application. We can reuse the same data. So it's code like cursor. No, it's called this thing. It's a very traditional IDE, integrated developer environment like this. You can see code there. And more importantly, you can see it's very good for understanding if code is correct or not, and showing you errors if it's not. So in my process, I use it. And this is the only tool we can use to put stuff on the actual device or in simulator. It comes with the simulator as well. So, okay, let's do some coding.
Just before you continue, you're saying to get your app or this onto, for instance, App Store.
Yeah.
You would have to be done through Xcode.
Yeah, this is only way. Okay. There's no other way.
So if your aspiration is to be listed in App Store, you must use this as the final one.
Correct. And this is my aspiration. I believe it's very, very exciting to put your stuff on the App Store. So for us, it was important to be able that we actually distributed to something called test flight, which is a visual Apple way, used to be a startup acquired by Apple, way of distributing web software. So using test flight today, we have around 42 testers. Some of them in this room, same in Nancy, one of the best testers. Yeah. Okay, so I have this idea. I have people. Internally, I have connections. But if you look at the profile, you cannot see connection with the profile. So what I want to do is to have something like, I probably want to have like a button here, showing if you connected or not. And another thing I don't have in my app at all, I don't have requests connection. So I'm already quite into the project, right? So I can go and look at my network. And I can look at my data structure here. So this is my connections. My connections go created add, so it's just a date, creator ID, members. Is this the right thing?
Our shipping point to later.
Yeah, that's it. My yes, footer as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
What is it?
what about that policy? That's why I said this one ahead of time. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for people who need to get online, CALADAN 2024.
Which is the government in 5G or the internet one?
Normal.
Okay, so when is
Right. Okay, so if you go to Coursera, I have connections. And connections are very straightforward. I have ID of person one and ID of person two, connected and I have connection node. I don't use it anywhere, but I have it. So what I'm missing right now is that some kind of requests, right? So I want, yeah,
It's behind you, that's why it's 20,
Yeah,
24,
sorry.
not just 24, thank you. There we go.
so I'm going to go here and I just go to do requests. And because I'm the person that's already suggesting me a bunch of requests, if I just click it out, it will populate it with person ID 2, and request date. If I go there again and tap, it will create a new request for me. So now I have another structure, these 2 requests. I have no idea if this requests for proper people or not. I'm going to go to people, I'm going to find area, and I'm going to grab my then I'm going to go back to connections. And I'm going to make this connection CSV. And just to be sure, I want someone real like I want this person Ankit, for example. I will grab his as well. I could ask AI to do it for me. But I guess in this case it's just more straightforward to grab IDs directly from those columns. I'm not sure who's the first person, but second one, at least I know. Okay, so now in my database, I have requests and I have connections. So now I'm going to go into chat and I'm going to say something like in-person profile, I want to see connection. And I can mention connections. I'm just going to correct it. Connections. progress. You can enter it. Sure. Connected. And the west. West. And then I relax and drink my water and hope it will be right there.
So this is checking the data already.
Yeah, correct. So it's saying, I'm going to create a view with display connections and request from the connections you saw. Wow, doesn't sound correct in here at all. Or maybe it is, let's see, let's search. Code. I see connections from this, okay, it's my connections from this system. Okay, it's my personal profile view. Okay, it's creating a request from it. Now we added the necessary code to the kind of connections in the request. The person file will show connected with a green check marker. Green check mark is completely hallucinated, right? I never asked green check marker. But I'm okay with that. I'm byte coded, so I'm co-creating with AI. Okay, it did the job. Now I'm going to go to explode. And I'm going to run it and hopefully it will work. And it doesn't. So what I'm doing here is that it's showing a missing error request, right? So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put in my AI and I click enter because I'm going to explain what's how I need. And just like, hey, deal with this. Not my problem, right?
The code went directly to Excel. I didn't see.
I can copy paste it in just one GitHub. Okay, it fixed the issue. Now I run the code. It runs the app. And it's exciting. Let's see if it's actually going to work. Connected. Connections connected. We
Amazing.
just
Hey.
So, but I hate how it looks like, I hate everything about it.
So is Replit like this?
Yeah, very similar. But Replit allow you to do some cloud, to work to cloud as well.
So we can connect Replit to Excel.
So, I recommend Cursor or Windsurf if you want to publish this code. And I'm not connecting anything here. I just have one GitHub, right? You know what GitHub is?
I do know what GitHub is, but I think, I don't know, there's different levels of knowledge here.
Yeah,
And so I think trying to get an understanding of, like last time we were looking at Replit and we've just input code, got a response. This is a little bit more in depth with coding.
yeah.
So I think maybe it's good to just maybe explain the connections and how this works.
Okay, so let me talk about GitHub first. So GitHub is a server where you can put a bunch of code on and then have a very structured way of updating this code and working with others. So all the changes I just did, I can go back to Cursor. I can click at this button here called source control. And I can see which files I changed and exactly highlight my changes. This is very important because it's so easy to shoot yourself in the foot with blackboarding. With this, what I'm going to do now is that I have these connections. I can review the code changes. And if I'm satisfied with all of that, I can commit. And I can say things like byte coded and connection. And I continue. I'm not actually do that because I hate how it looks like. I want to finish it first. And this is a process, right? I work on something very focused. So I commit it to the file. And then my Xcode and my Cursor working from the same source, from the same folder on my machine. So once I've updated something, Xcode sees that, I run it, deploy it to simulator or to my device, and I can go back to the roots of it again. Let's actually fix it, right? So why I hate it. it's kind of centered in the screen, and it's the place of the screen. I want it to be after invites, and I want it to be without connections. So from my experience, I found it easier to, in this case, to do like this. I will go into cursor, and I know where these changes are. The person profile view here. I can see the changes. This is connections, right? So I'm going to open this button. Oh, there's all the code actually.
So you in GitHub now?
I'm in cursor right now. But the code is on GitHub.
So do you connect to Cursor and Xcode at GitHub level?
It's like GitHub the key points,
Yes.
both are like data essentially.
I can show you how I do this. Sorry, if I go to GitHub. On the GitHub, I can see my repositories. So this is like folders is called, right? So this project is called Deepstack Apple DevOps. If I click on it, actually what I can see is a bunch of folders and code and everything related to the project. And here on the right side, I have this comment. I copy this comment and go back to my terminal. Sorry, I need to choose terminal. And I go to developer folder, then I can do git clone bits. And this will create a copy folder on my machine. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of.
Sorry, but I guess the way I would explain it is like GitHub is like an online hard drive that you put your code on.
Yeah.
So Cursor, Xcode, and everything are all connected to the same hard drive. So if one computer deletes something, then it deletes the other one. Someone adds something, it adds it to the other one. It's just all the same source of data.
But when you're on GitHub, are you kind of forced to write code? You need to know what code you're writing. Or can you, but
You
if
put a
you,
README on there, just a text file.
Or a book.
Yeah.
but if you generate some code from Replit,
Mhm.
then you put that code onto
I
GitHub.
think
You could download it and then put it on there.
Okay.
but by default, Replit is trying to be everything you want.
Yeah.
So by default, Replit is all GitHub if you want.
Right.
Yeah. I guess using GitHub or Buildserver or Advent and Xcode is a bit more low level. But I find it more satisfying because I have more control over what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, and I actually can achieve more satisfying results. I can put an app on an app store, which I cannot do with Replit.
But you can extract the code from Replit and put it into Xcode.
Theoretically, yes. In practice, it's not going to work. I need a more robust workflow, like what I'm showing right now. I want to be able to write something in Cursor and go to Xcode and run it and see if any errors come back.
I guess you want to have it on story, that's
Maybe.
why.
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah. So eventually, Rapid will have its own app store or something like that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, maybe you can focus on Cursor and you just do like a simple demo project for because that's also across Windows and
Sure, let me finish what I started.
Yeah.
Then we get to that. I just want to iterate one more time. So we have this thingy. I wanted to show something. Oh, wow, it's kind of a long icon for requests. It's not a lot of code. It wasn't expected. Very much when we want to. Okay, first thing I want to remove is connections. I don't want this. So I'm going to just remove it directly like this. And maybe I make a mistake, so I'm going to say, I'm going to run and see how this looks like. Okay, this is much better already. I have connected team. I guess team is more internal information, but maybe it's useful for me to see. And then I want this uninvited. So I go back to my cursor. This is called connections view. Let me search connections view. Connections. That they mentioned, well, yeah, so this is where it's all kind of orchestrated, the connections we goes here. Actions buttons. So if you look at the app, this is connections to, this is actions buttons. And this is invited by. So I'm just going to copy this. And move it down there. This is here. Yeah, it's here. I'm going to save and I'm going to run operating mistakes. As I said, it's addictive, so even right now I feel some dopamine because I'm doing this. And I don't want to switch to anything else in my end. So now we just move this around, right? It's a very, very straightforward text-based instruction.
You asked the AI.
Yeah, but it's actually easier to recognize in this case because AI is not confusing. Okay, so now I'm going to commit. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to write a simple message saying add connections. Then all files. I'm going to connect and synchronize. So now it's going to get GitHub. And now everyone else in my team can access the same GitHub and can download this code and use it as well. Yeah. So this on the left side, you see all the versions and all the branches. What is beautiful about GitHub and why I usually recommend everyone to know a little bit about it is because you can branch. So have a version. You can say, I want a new version of this, like a copy of this. I can make a few changes to that. Meanwhile, you can continue doing changes to the main branch and then I merge it together. And it's smart enough to merge it in a way that it's usually don't have any conflict because you work on this files, I work on these files, now we merge together, and then everything is in one new perfect state. Yeah, we have 8 people as a team and everyone working on the same code base. It's very important to have something that we have. But it's it's not a topic of today. Okay, so we want to build something. Let's open the floor for ideas. What do you want to build? Anyone come and say, yeah, I want to build something?
Does it matter which platform? No.
No, we can build like a web app.
Right,
It's going to be, at the beginning, we're going to build help of the setup and stuff, but
right.
we can do different ones.
On cursor X. On cursor X.
Of course, yeah, we can forget what it's called because the request is to forget what it's called for 1 minute because only a few people have it. And maybe focus on I'm going to bring this code. I'm going to give us monitor, maybe not. Just stay here because maybe later we'll talk about something.
So we'll need opposite cursor.
Cursor we do need, yeah, that cursor we cannot do. So I'm going to.
I have an idea for you, if you're.
Okay.
I want to start this myself. It's called Vibe Buddies. And it's finding out what the 10 top problems in vibe coding. And then encountered by new users. And then develop live, online, and offline ways to help new non-coders identify the problems. So just as you said about like you identify what the problem was, but new coders we don't know how to identify the problems. And even what you mentioned about which are you using, like GitHub and what's it called, Vercel, and all these different elements. We need to have information on how to put those together. Identify problems, try solutions, and then if they really get stuck, find a coach. Find a person, our team as we build this up. Right? Okay, find a coach, paid, unpaid, or something in between. To talk them off the ledge. Well, that was my idea. Hey, get them from jumping to their demise from tall building because we have solutions. Yeah, so it's basically the problem solving app.
Okay, so the way I mentioned that we have like a board and we vote for ideas, like we vote for problems.
Yeah, input your problem and then the sustain, the meter,
Is it five buddies?
it's called, Vibe, VIBE, buddies, BUDDIES.com. Vibe buddies.
Okay, I just created a new folder called five buddies.
Okay.
And I'm going to take more salt and I'm going to. Yes, please.
I will add it to group and then I will send out the cursor.
Okay.
And those other information. Yeah, but yes, send out more information about doing and also just set up. You already in the group.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's not some group, so it's a
Is the new group for this?
No, it's the, yeah, or a district campus.
So I'm saying, let's build an app called Whitebuddies, which is showing a list of problems for whiteboarding and allows people to vote for them. That's what I'm going to give it over. Let's see what the app.
So the app is finding out what are the problems, so you're putting in your problem. My suggestion is that the app function is finding people who have the desire to help others, you know, whether it's paid or unpaid. It's just, it's kind of like
Let's start with something simple, right? Let's.
oh, yeah.
So that you build the whole idea.
Matching people with the problems.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start with that and just see what I have. So I guess because of the context is going swift right, I don't like that, so I'm going to stop it and go restore.
What did it do too fast?
It started with Swift UI, and we don't want Swift UI.
Language for one for
It's,
Very nice. JavaScript.
I would probably prefer, TypeScript.
Yeah.
So what,
Yeah, it's in mine.
what are you doing? Are you in person now?
I'm in person right
What
now.
are you writing in person?
So when I wrote in the course so far, I'm saying, hey person, let's build an app called Whitebuddies, which is showing a list of problems for whiteboarding and allows people to vote for them. Then because I was doing a lot of Swift UI code before, it's assumed that I want Swift UI code. So I said, okay, use TypeScript and Svelte. TypeScript is a language, Svelte is a framework.
It's like that background with all the equations going, you know.
Yeah, I'm just not really sure what I'm writing in.
And then I sent it to you, people just started to say.
I can actually join the group and send it from here.
I think that's the great.
What do you mean?
The other question is, do we need to open GitHub?
No, we're not doing this, we're just doing it locally.
Yeah, just do it.
Right, for an issue. I joined that for an issue. I'm going to copy paste my thing. No. So the question is saying is, let's do npm create white latest template Svelte. You don't need to understand what it's saying. It's basically creating a template of the project. I'm going to say run. He's asking me if I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm fine. Yeah. Doing something, but it's doing this in the background, which makes it common to see. Okay, package done. NPM installed. So now we just installing all these packages.
Now, these are preloaded packages in the software, so packages.
Correct, so when you're using TypeScript, you have something called NPM, which I don't remember what it stands for. Oh, package manager. And NPM installing a bunch of pieces of code from open source usual projects. Put them together. So in this case, it's created by program interface and board action class.
Now you're gonna start in 66.
I will try to some program.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
What is goes with cursor compared with that? Is it they get that they kind of connected to GitHub or?
Replit is more integrated solution and kind of independent of everything else. Also, it needs more mainstream module. Like that, but I didn't have much experience since Replit, so I should comment much about Replit. Okay, now we're going to run the server. Ports. Okay, so now we have local ports 573. We can click on this. Opens and we have advanced problems. And the right ones. Description. It's I just used some of them, and I have no idea. So, I mean. Okay, it's a bit of a problem.
Still trying again. Yeah, and something else.
Have this one, and we can have one for it, we can say +1. And then actually, we will be on the network, we will be able to connect and do the same thing. I feel excited, but I don't see much excitement in the room.
I think there's just a lack of understanding. I'm gonna put my hand up, and because I'm not a coder,
Yeah,
and when we worked on Replit, actually, there's an ability to get something,
yeah,
and this requires a few more things together.
Yeah.
And so the knowledge required for this and the tech. I mean, I haven't got NPM, I haven't got a room thing. I don't even know what this is saying. So I feel like 5 steps back, whereas Replit allowed us to just get something built. And if that's your objective, then maybe Replit in this instance is easier for people with a lower level of knowledge. Whereas I think if you've got coding knowledge and knowledge of these apps, then I think obviously this works better with the objective of using it.
Yeah.
Apple.
you're absolutely
So
right.
I think we're just in a bit of a, again, this everyone else is being quiet, so I'm just gonna put my hand up that I know I'm at a lower level, but I want to do it. So
And you can understand why exactly that idea of the Vibe Buddies. That's
Yes.
what we want to, Vibe Buddies, because that's what we want to do, actually, is to answer those questions. I'm in exactly the same boat
Yeah.
as you. And that's why this idea is, I think, a reasonable, good thing.
Yeah.
Because the answers are from people who really know what they're talking about, and they can do all this kind of cool stuff. And we need those answers, but, we don't have you here all the time.
Yeah.
And
And
that-
get upscale our knowledge.
Yeah, and if
to
we
this.
use this technology to do exactly that, sure, we use the AI, in Replit, but, I've come across roadblocks that I just don't have the answer to. I keep asking it, I keep wasting tokens, and it just keeps hallucinating. And what was the word you used? Gaslighting me, I think this is the new word of the week, is gaslighting.
It's an old one.
Well, but I mean, for byproducts,
Yes.
and I mean, if we answer that question, I think we're really cool. I mean, this is really valuable.
Okay. I do want to see if anybody managed to get something similar or something different.
Did you hear somebody beeping here? Clink, clink, clink.
Still work?
Where is the?
I haven't even got to that one. And
Okay.
I-
Yeah.
Or I guess.
So. Buildings that have.
Yeah.
It says NPM run that. It should do it on its own. It doesn't do that. It should be able to do that. If it's didn't, we can try it. Fine.
Apparently I needed sudo and password for that, and I'm now gonna just correct out that sudo or a password.
Oh, the password that's before the password on file.
Is it plain English back there?
Yeah, like, the what soon means. For you to.
Okay.
And if it didn't work out, like, do you go back to worship points?
Yep.
Okay. And then we try to run it here. And I see that you have different, like, you can choose floor, you can choose T or O or from one. Is there anyone you recommend in particular? Any LLM to start with?
Sorry, I was very close to this computer with this question.
I just see that it's multi-integrated LLMs basically. 2 or 3.5, T or 1.
It's quote, unquote.
Okay. Like,
Just from experience is better.
okay.
The Gemini 2.5 seems to be really good as well. But I didn't test it enough to recommend it. It's inside the recipe to PowerShell, and then from options. Oh, no.
Okay.
They said you need number 1.
I'm not even just.
Yes, alright. To install this. No.
Oh, yeah, right.
So.
Right. Just a question, general question. Whether this works or not this time. Anybody interested in working with me on Vibe Buddies? Good, okay, at least one person. Just, because I think this is valuable to make this work. Without all of Vibe Buddies is to match people who can help you. with people who need the help, like me. And then maybe there's a little business model, and then maybe, like, pay maybe people who help use it for subscription, yeah, whatever, some monetization system, but initially, it's get through the barriers, the exact questions that you're asking, I'm asking, I've experienced, or I have you've experienced it too.
Yeah, but
So,
since we still have the same words.
let's use the technology to fix that.
Yeah. So the concepts. Don't improve the NPM in small.
And you proceed with secrets.
Yeah.
That's good.
So the tools I created in this project, I understand what being in the right body. Yeah, that's my judgment.
We're kind of doing
How
everything, but what we're doing is
NPM installed on the side of the project. That gives a skill base. This will be the chat to where you like it's meeting so it's still within by the way. Sorry, the front. Oh, so it's under this my project. Yeah, so
I want to be clear, I don't made the domain name, I started coding it, I want to make that project.
You have to do
I'm looking for it, just help to make it. Let's do that. You're interested on the
modules. If you do
coaching
this
side.
module.
I'm on the receiving side.
So I just need to identify which one.
You're right.
Pick us one.
I think,
Yeah.
just to level the playing field,
My turn.
maybe switch over to red click.
You do group.
Sorry, maybe just switch over to red click.
Group.
Yeah, I.
So it does not.
Yes.
Yeah, just so we just level the playing field.
Well, maybe like do it on this cursor, but then I can try it on Replit and just see what I get.
Yeah.
So I think, can carry on, because I'm just gonna have to dip out now.
That's why I asked the question a little earlier, is that, regardless of, this is where the ES, day to, show his
Yeah.
skill set and fantastic things he's doing. But I'm empathetic with your situation because I'm sharing it, and I think a number of us are. This is just a solution I'm offering. I've already started to code it, but why not use this skill set of people who really know what they're talking about, and of people who really have the need? And
I think though, my thinking is that the part of working with AI and trying to work through the process helps you understand. So you could get someone to show you, but obviously it requires their time. This goes to the point what Ilya was saying is you're going to ask a human, that human is also working on their own stuff. So are we kind of using that pool of people, but actually, is it not about getting the AI to educate us to understand this because we're working with AI? So I'm not dismissing
it's okay.
requirement,
Yeah.
but I think the results are then.
I wouldn't put too much deep thought into it.
Yeah.
The problem is, the best thing I think that in vibe coding is you have a problem,
And you want to solve it.
you solve the problem, and if you solve the problem with an app, other people will say, "Hey, I have the same problem,"
Yeah.
and then the app becomes useful. That's really what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's not sort of moral or anything.
No, yeah.
It's not.
Yeah, but I think, for everyone that is not like myself, there occurs to be a biggest thing to just go to Reddit instead and then start from there, basically. Because that is. And
It's also just fine. It's just have to pop it up on the screen.
yeah, exactly.
This is insane.
What is happening?
He asked me to switch to Rapid because it seems to be more distinct as a group, and it's easier. And it is easier. It's my first time using it ever, so.
Yeah, and I think there's video.dev. B0.dev. You type stuff in, it'll make the app for you. It's browsing.
But that's very similar to
Okay, so who want to follow along and zero version of Rapid? This is what I just did. Like it's the same exact prompt. So I got the one that way. It's awesome.
I think Cursor is more for experienced programmers. Or
Yes.
people who have years
But
work coding.
I don't consider myself an experienced programmer, right?
But you
But I'm not too.
yeah.
But this like a huge. I started doing website when I was in high school, and I had some experience with email systems, right? So for me, taking Cursor and building this huge empowerment, because otherwise I would not be able to do this at all. Yeah, and we have to like replicate for someone who didn't have this experience, didn't have this background, it's even more empowered.
I'm not zero, I'm negative.
I will present out something we used last time. It's a prompt to start from, which is basically a product design by PDR prompts. I sent it in our group. And you can take the prompt basically as a baseline for creating your first product, basically. So you start with that prompt, and then you go to your preferred AI writer. If that's T3 we used last time, I used Perplexity mostly. And then you just add a business ID. So last time we did, we basically did an app where you took, like you upload an article, and then that article, the code or the program turned the article into a podcast with like celebrity voices.
May I share the information before?
Yeah, please go ahead.
So that T3 and Perplexity, are they like recommend?
No, they are just like ChatGPT. Different
Oh, right, okay, so they're
similar like graphics.
okay.
So, but I would start from this PDR prompt basically, because that gives you the scaffolding basically.
And you continue with the same feature, so we're not, no?
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And is there a way to sort of share what you're doing?
Yeah, I just did, I shared the prompt, and I put it in the, I have it in the chat, just without the last part about frameworks and stuff, let's do it, and add code by us. Which is showing a list of problems by coding. So this is what I did, and then I had a choice, a few things to do. Implement user profiles, create a report, and add coding functionality. Yeah.
This is what we used last time.
Yeah.
So I already shared.
Okay, thank you.
So I would take the PPR requirements, and then I would take the prompt, the put down for live bodies basically, and then go to ChatGPT and just let it enhance the prompt basically, and then paste it back to the cursor.
My versus my.
Oh, sorry, to yeah.
Okay. It's almost done.
Yes.
Did you want
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes up here.
What is your favorite color?
I'd say.
It's already kind of, it's kind of purplish.
I quite like that.
Okay, let's keep it like that.
Yeah, there's a quite a long list of things in the idea, which is mostly coming out of our meetings and my educational background, in my teaching. So this is where this would be a great way to start the process of helping us all answer the questions that we're all having, and build out the app as a solution, and then ultimately build it into, as you become better at it, you become like a coach in it, and there's some kind of model.
People have made.
Yeah, and I think if we take that attitude first, that this this is like a open source, aid to society, help to society, then, well, we're pioneers. And that's another one. So I'm very happy to share this because I'm super excited about vibe coding. And maybe you saw from last week, I have my Great Canadian Wall.ca, which is not quite finished yet, but the map's working and a few different things are working. And let's just keep building meaningful apps, useful things.
And most the blue collar when it's integrated everything, so. And the world will. And. Wow. It's the sausage just covers some over right.
I from and also focus on my buddy. So I just send an update from the stuff from there and then go through it. Yeah, exactly for my buddy. And you have also, if you start on Reddit, if you try before, you have a small pen to the right when you start a project. Here. And then you can ask Reddit to enhance it from straight away as well. Just clarify this as well.
And just out of interest, can you export this to GitHub and then edit it from GitHub?
Yes.
There is GitHub integration for it.
Because I don't like Replit for the fact that you cannot escape Replit. It's like the vibe, and what do we say the
Vibes going down.
where the vibe's going to die. It's like the gaslight. It's they get you sucked in with it, and then you can't export it. You can't use it for anything.
So this is the is that the same? Is that one that you can? I mean, that's sorry.
Yeah.
It's asking.
It's like when you in front of you.
Yeah,
Okay. So the VO not there, but it's is that enable you to upload to GitHub? So I'm just trying that now.
Yeah, it generates actual code
Yeah.
that you could download and use it.
Right, but it also then, because I've got the interface already, but I just think that it's really helpful. It's just like I don't know my problem.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't help.
Right.
No, it's negative.
Like, I saw it somewhere, but I think you look. App is made by this company.
Yourself.
Yeah, they're like a hosting platform for a lot of things. They make that, so you can directly make the code and just host it.
But can you only host it in Vercel?
No,
No, you
but
can
it
export
would
the code.
work better in Vercel.
Right.
Like I use Vercel for everything anyway.
Okay. Because Vercel's, is it, okay. So, so my understanding is correct, and please, all experts correct me. Vercel, the one.
Up to that app, actually.
Okay, exactly. And you know, this is part of my journey, right? Is I'm sick and tired of apps that make me pay monthly to host it. Right? We want to be able to export our code. And Vercel is not Vercel is free up to a certain point, you know, and I don't know what the point is.
These are all the apps on the.
How many? 20. Okay, so there's up to 20? Are they all free?
It's like 100, just until the app is big enough, that's making enough money and you have enough users, then they'll start charging you.
How do they know? Oh, I guess, you know,
Because you
track.
have more data and trying to.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. That even whatever app we create, there are quite free ways to do the testing stage. And Vercel is one of them.
Okay. Rapid is doing some work, and I'm just sitting here waiting for you.
Yeah, it's working on it.
Yeah, it's working. First much less interesting.
See, I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work out because we're all using Replit and we're all coding, not all, but some people are coding by bytes. And the concept of now what we want to do, you know, is make this app or whatever one thing. Not 12 others.
So I used to use Replit to do code challenges with friends or. That was by button, is to also the exact same file. So they're all editing the same thing, but you might have to pay for all these people,
Right.
because I think it's something like 4 people, but. You can also be in that same.
Simple. Well, this is whole bunch of. It's
No, but it's a recommendation by the host, but it might still you don't need to write a group on prompt. Okay. You can stick with a simple prompt and then adjust until for every time that this. I reached the limit, I need to upgrade it for more already. Oh, 50%, not yet. Okay, I'm very close.
I wanted to try to do the thing for you just quickly. So visible. And I figured it's just like for people put stuff for them to do. And. Yeah, so I just went for a community or like sticky notes.
Okay.
What else sticky notes?
Again, these are all great ideas, and what we should do is have a meeting about that, you know, and then say,
Could
well,
you please have a link in a group?
let's test market.
Well, it's the chair.
It's super complicated, but let's make one that goes in the right direction, you know.
Still working on it.
So about. Normally I don't have much. But yeah, I wanted to try to farm here today, do something that just give you from that.
Well, and that's superb.
But this one to RMS and.
It's basically like
more better,
yeah, so
This is better.
do something if you
You
like.
cannot do it.
But someone else did.
2 hours studio,
Someone else did, and they were-
Spencer can do it.
It's like this thing,
Can work on the code.
this is
And
like,
then use
this is
604
like someone,
to support it.
like they made it real, but this is the thing. This is like someone needs.
It's so for hours.
Yeah.
Request.
Enjoy.
And
And
those
then
figures.
someone
And those.
can do stuff, so they put
Okay.
an offering. And I figured it would be like a big whiteboard for a community, and it's like sticky notes, or you know, put enough to be.
Sure. There could be one. Yes, and as an answer to these questions, that's what I also think we use AI to do that. We say AI, do the marketing research, like before we commit to anything. We say, well, what about sticky notes? What about this? What about that? What are people really interested in doing? And then go with the, you know,
They're asking the AI to do the market research. It's basic, it's
totally amazing, and that's what I did with environment. I did some market research with that to see, is there a need? I know there's a need for me, and I know there's a need for other people, a lot of people in the same way. So,
Usually it
I
works
think,
really well, but
you know,
sometimes.
the opportunity here is, we all have our own
And it's
ideas.
fashion stuff, as I look at.
I'm offering this idea as, okay, this is solving my problem.
You use.
As I solve my problem, if other people want to, you know, sort of.
Oh, finally, finished.
Creation.
So I thought about maybe to go for like. Like help wanted.
It could be.
Yeah, I mean.
So
Has.
I think that's what this meeting was starting to we're getting clear indications of is that there's a need to show this. Yeah, but I'm just thinking that these questions are mostly about very basic things of, you know, how do we end up with code that we own? And I think that's a real, I think it's the system's not set up for that. It's set up so
If you take like a completely managed solution as the Rapid, for example,
they
are very interested in owning and code.
And
Not
not,
as to correctly so far, Rapid is actually have an option for you to download it, right?
I'm not sure, wasn't successful. It does.
Yeah.
You can just copy paste it,
You mean literally sort
you want to, but I guess there should be a next one on there.
of, but do you know that there is one or? Cause I talked to some other coding friends and they say, no, that's their business model. They take your code because you're doing the research, right? You're a human being. You have the problem. You're interacting with an LLM. You're training the LLM to say, oh, there's a human problem. And I have some answers. Now, what Replit does is it collects your problem, your question, and how you're trying to solve it. And then it makes it available to other people. They learn. It's learning.
Yeah.
It's learning from you, right? But you're not being paid for teaching. You're paying teaching. So I'm not against it, because look at the fantastic model it's doing.
Have like fixed times on that, they don't try to go to one, but it's not triple. So the train of the eight. How does it?
Oh, that's precisely that.
No, it's.
Yeah. And you're talking about portion. Yeah, so you know more than I do about it. I'm just thinking of it from our own practical creation point of view.
Some really are actually one thing that, you know, like, OpenAI that runs ChatGPT, they trained on what you're confident. And Cursor was actually recently bought by them because they want to see what devs are actually coding. And they copy. Yeah, Cursor is owned by OpenAI now. So they actually take your code, whatever you make in Cursor that you're prompting, they
You
know.
are prompting.
Yeah, you're telling them how to make what you
Teaching.
made.
It's a teaching model. And if you look on Lovable, if you look like down, you know, a couple, like scroll down, it's got examples from Bob of New Nebraska and Duke and Sue. It's got like, here's what this other dude coded. You know, like that dude spent money and time to code that. And what they're offering to you is, hey, just copy this code. And through us.
What I don't like about Rapid so far is I think I have a problem, I don't know how to even approach it, so. I feel you can.
Yes.
Basically, so you don't have to.
I think this is what we should do. We should be.
I think you can just.
Oh, okay, well, some of them, haven't used.
Yeah.
Or it's not.
Yeah.
But, you know, and we could have sort of a test one or something.
I think before the session starts, maybe walk people through how to get to. Yeah.
I mean, myself, my friends have warned me,
Right, you go out to the folder here.
touch the code Yeah, this copy, if you have the option,
Yeah.
Oh, you can,
because you can screw it up royally.
you can set up a pull request, so before someone can actually update the code, everyone has to look at it and review it.
Approve it,
and
yeah.
then, yeah.
So, let's do that to start.
I got my specifically emphasized, because I remember when I first started coding, people were telling me so. I was like, what is that, what is this? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, it seems simple now,
yeah.
but when you're
What
starting.
about ground UX design? Design, so I can think of the problem.
Yeah.
You know, like what, I can ask those questions like, why are we doing this? What is the goal that the user is trying to achieve? But when you're faced with a tool that you can just write anything in, then you can create any kind of app. The question is, who needs that app and is it targeting the right problems? So I'm thinking about this app for the vibe coded puddings. And it's like, okay, you can put your question in, but it's like, well, first of all, we're gonna get a response. So I thought, right, well, let's put some experts in there. Let's see if we can identify what they're experts in. So there might be someone who's a Replit expert. For example, I can filter through that and talk to them directly. So that's another feature I've just added in because then I know I'm not gonna wait for someone to answer, but then that's maybe part of the feature is putting that question in and getting responses from everyone. But then how do you kind of respond to that going forward?
Yeah, yeah, I have a couple of errands here. This is a very old one.
But one you use,
The one I use the most is this one.
Yep.
This is the one that I have.
So how do you communicate?
Great Canadian wine.
So using first, Michael Iris. It should be,
It's 3-digit AI.
track like, basically,
so can you go on to the copy it?
You know what, maybe better is use this one because this is.
No, this seems to be the trying. Right. That's 7 minutes and there has to.
Why is it doing that?
Or, I'll send you.
That's it.
It's a bad word. I call it tug of war instead of tug of war. This tug of war. There's no wall. Here's you.
So, yeah.
Here's, I hook this up.
Yeah, this is trying to get, but
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, come on in.
Yes. Nice to meet you.
Okay. Let me get it totally straight. Because I've registered and everything, I would rather have it on my.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
Yes.
Okay, no, I don't like that wrong.
Right, but not on your. You know what I mean? Like, well,
Actually, you go on your Actually, you're on average voters, but then you would own it.
Yeah.
okay.
I was like,
So that's why you're.
Why
have posted your app
Because
in this
to
charity.
make the original thing of mine.
And it was a group and just gave a bit of inspiration to each other.
You understand my question, right?
Yeah, like I
In the-
have no interest in owning it.
In the history of it,
Yeah, like for a long time, I was my life for
I
project.
would like it.
So I know I'm struggling.
Like,
I haven't touched, coding fast to no one to and I don't know measure what they are, so I'm trying to go and start. I won't code my thing. It's a good, yeah, I need to be aware, right, of what's going on. Even if I'm not familiar with my thing. Well, I have to go to take my seats. You have this table, and I don't have battery anymore. I don't think yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, it's like, I really, I have to go anyway.
What are you doing on this side of the water?
What are you doing on this side of the pond? No, I rarely see you outside of, outside of, DB.
Yes.
I never.
Yeah. So I know, yeah, but I'm not, I've been too busy, so that's, I seldom go to town, Especially now,
This is my get.
the call.
Okay, and you copy whatever that is, then put it out tomorrow.
So just
The-
my seat,
Like that.
When you have a table, no, it's the table.
Okay, well, we'll see. I can just put it on my lap. I put it on my lap.
No, I just.
I know.
And they go by home.
It says it's in there, and it's very certain, but it's really, it's supposed to get much more narrow control.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You can do a lot more specific things you want to do, and as a control freaking designer, I want to control what I do.
Yeah.
So this rapid, it feels like,
Bring down the person.
Yeah.
You tried.
Yeah, in whatever dinner, I'm my computer switch off.
Okay.
So thanks so much to everyone. It was very insightful and really I learned a lot. Thanks to you too. And my colleague, my friend and colleague, I didn't know it's coming, but they come. You can hear we are colleagues, Yeah, I
More like a business.
yeah, it's like I guess we can also talk about what that really started like going Hong Kong and you see each other they are running the Web3 China can run anymore, it's a pretty large I mean there's people and so but it's really it's not better than this AI. Maybe next time there's something yes, let me know, I mean I was seeing the wife getting more so yeah, very insightful. I'm spending time on AI, I'm just doing it. Even I'm not calling myself just
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
But you do any investments? You do any investments in the?
Please let Patrick through here.
Do you do any investments in AI? In the between AI, so
Okay.
do you run an investment program?
Similar.
I mean, we have like investment kind of knowledge led by the headquarters in California. It's actually one to the local programs. Then that's selected by the headquarters, and after that they can go to prevention and function from our there's a pool of investors, but we don't really. If you don't have investor, we look from the local local.
Whatever's happening.
No, it's even more.
We run once a year, we don't have yeah, totally volunteer, but it's a lot of work, because it's really so as a truck, it's like there's no budget and we know something about the perfect, so you build the program, you hire mentors, you sign up for the and it's really well like how anything works. And it's doing the same but
No, I'm not. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. It's really great that I'm going to practice.
Very much. What I made.
That's great.
No, I don't actually. But ultimately, me,
It's
what I want is content.
Well,
This is my project.
Well, my buddies are on it.
I want this to read the address that I've already created for private device. I want this. I see.
The reason is like, I didn't take this domain, I made it local.
I didn't have any problems.
I have the app, I just made it.
Deliver you guys.
My GitHub.
Well,
I don't have
I
it.
have to add.
You have to make an app and then just put it
I
on.
decided to use this,
Okay. Is there a way to?
That's why I'm trying to add you onto the GitHub, because you have the app, I just made it, so we copy it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I guess so.
so you
In
can ask
the
questions.
end,
I think this is a bit like
there's
Reddit.
others
you know,
that go
Yeah.
to the website, that go to Conscious Land / by.
I just thought.
No, that's not a website. That's just to do it.
That's not a directory, yeah. So how do I make a directory in here that says?
It's just where you can add experts and then it's like free.
Audition.
It's made,
It's like a file.
That's the repo.
Again, I don't know, this is necessarily.
Like a new.
Straight through.
Yeah.
Maybe that's also
Right.
some free.
It's very.
Just to make it.
Yeah.
I was also sitting there.
Search by like.
Specifically, just like.
And maybe that's what it is.
Well, this is my, I guess I'm, I am. Can you put a .com in it?
No.
No.
That's
just the name.
It's fine, it's changes. It's like.
And like 10,000 other people literally named.
Sure, no worries. No worries, I'm not worried about that. I'm concerned about the sort of the heritage of
This
this.
just brings up like
Yeah, make
the
this
first
thing
thing and it might be the best place for you to ask a question. So just building off the back of that, but how to train useful. Basically.
Have you bought directly the European version so you can?
No, no.
You still in the.
Yeah, I've got 3 apps I can do.
Sure. Yeah,
So, and I was just working actually on.
3-digit AI file. That's the one I built the map on. I decided something that I looked up here. I looked up.
So.
Are you logged in?
That thing, probably not.
Not one of those.
Yeah, so this was, this is the recycling program I was working on literally in 5 months now. And it's got like materials, although I did actually did the investment on the coaches and stuff.
And then just.
But the idea was that you could scan the QR code, well, they don't want that saying.
Oh, you know why?
You can then scan an item. And then you go, this is what's the cost, you can recycle this, and you can, then there's a bit just down the road. In the
So the reason why is
it
because.
just makes it easier, and then you have to.
How long?
And then you can see which country it is that like recycling the most.
I think there's no back end and ads and then there's good.
Yeah, but,
Maybe
you know, I mean,
get rid of the time to show you.
place of this issue. But the thing is that if you can see your country really hard, then maybe you want to move it. So I think I could just quite just for that moved in my area. I mean, that is in my area.
Quite a way. So that's where the limits, I guess, of that code. You can make it and the way
The publication.
It's just images. Yeah, and then.
So yeah, the error seems to be, as was that, it's like trying to step back and then it's go right back in, there is enough of the damage to fire breaking.
Yeah.
put my code in.
And I was like,
Yeah, so there's like,
really good time.
it's great for some stuff.
You know,
But even do back end, you have to yourself figure out how to plug it all in.
Recycling. So I chose things like recycle every day, and then you scan what you recycle it, and it's a long thing. Actually, it changes behaviors a bit. Like,
Well, it's
I don't
just,
know if anyone's on Duolingo,
You
but
can
it's
make
got
like,
me
at least back in
visual,
the day.
They've got me on
there's
700.
the actual code that you
Yeah.
can like,
Good job.
make a website with,
So like, they
What language?
yeah, a little bit more.
Bulgarian. My parents are here. Well, my money's still around.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so-
Like, Java is like an extension of like Photoshop.
They didn't teach me
And
as a
it's
kid.
like,
I thought it'd impact my learning.
I mean, you do a lot with this, but it's, it has its limits, it won't like do everything.
Yeah.
Also by the end that.
It's nice trying out, so some of it stuff is. Okay, I'll be very sure. So that's
Running English is
but it's just like a pattern.
Yeah, so
So
like,
we don't have any-
it's really hard to make some, you know.
And we're getting off track. Energy surreal or by the moment.
So I said something on Twitter that I actually read a lot with. So as we get better, just have a lot of. Developers.
Way more than work. Yeah, my maker.
Because it'll be able to copy what
Although I do
they,
like flying to that.
but if you get really good at what you do, then you always get events.
Looking there, it's one of the best. You're the microphone.
Yeah, I just feel it's a little bit more fine. Even if you're in a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's sure in there, like over high or
Yeah.
from the Emirates is being over this, but it's not as direct. Like,
Yeah, and I
It's
flew
going,
by,
I think,
I think it was Swiss Air, which is now Austria.
I was showing him like a month or so ago. But, a lot of these things I made, this website,
I was thinking,
yeah,
da.
yeah,
And then,
well, yeah.
yep.
So,
And there's no.
I set up back end.
That's easier, as you found.
that's what.
You got stuck in, you first.
Yeah. That's I'm just still trying to install stuff, that's fine.
So it's like,
You see the
oh, okay.
Yeah,
I need great approaches in well mentioned and say translated.
Okay, probably not, all right.
No, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I suppose.
For example.
But get out, you know,
That's an empty right now.
it's basic.
Okay, there we go. So you log in and then. Be able to just stuff like.
You have the. Yes, from zero there. I don't know. It's also constructed.
Yeah, so it's just me playing around with all these games, and it did last my day or two.
Yes, you can download. I was, yes.
Oh, yeah.
I pulled the Wi-Fi, what he said, but then all the.
I made a database with,
Yes.
this website from Google.
But you would.
Gives you like a free back end, you can make it free back.
It's full.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's on AI.
Like they have, I haven't tried it, they have those video.
I used to do that.
Like how this is like
Yeah,
like AI for back end. So then you can use it
I
to make a front end, you can
engineering
make
job.
it to make a back end and connect them.
And then, it was never my thing to keep track of, so I. Now we have a very good instead. It's exciting about it. You actually have very cool, like, then you have to do something.
Yeah. There's a lot of new ways, I've never used it, you know. A lot of love here. It's very nice. So, I know I don't have it. Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
is it? I see.
Yeah, like you make the things so that you look like that. It's like a database.
And then.
Yeah, all this stuff that you have to tell the AI on.
You have to.
You know, everything basic data on the back end, like
You have to
shit,
know
like,
everything
to the back end.
Because it's because financial officer, you have no.
What I just did is
My rules are coming back to Hong Kong. My shopping rules.
But still, I have an idea.
Alright, I guess that's what it's like.
Sure, yeah.
Do you have that?
This is, oh, sorry.
I've been using this for the first time in one week, I have no idea what it's about to do.
That's it.
I thought you
Like,
were.
I'll just say that's a good point.
I know, I use, so it's always like a big, I have no idea what the AI is doing.
This is like a video, but it's
For me,
you know what's trying to get it up.
it's
You don't know.
Is it for myself or six? And one last project was as a language. And it was going back and have. So what we know is that we need to open specific. I want to be able to call my stuff. So
Yeah, you still have a framework from your engineering days.
When you did that, it's. I never did. Just set of rules up.
Yeah, like this is like the back end.
I have no idea what they're
Well,
calling.
and that's
So
what
we
I
have like a database set up.
and that's kind of my three.
Manually did it.
I hear like you and
Like,
See what an entrepreneur.
like a random, it's like you know, but apparently their AI thing doesn't.
Monthly
Yeah, process.
or.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm listening to interview as a whole. But then it means different down. An hour every time. Maybe I can do it. And then, yeah.
Like, mostly the way I use it now is like, I use AI to go, like, I already know. I feel like it's fast and fast. I know what to do, like, when I already.
Yeah, talking about marketing.
Sometimes it's really bad.
And you'll see.
I've been working more free, like sorry, free. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
How did you learn?
How to create products?
When you have a chance, we could.
Then we worked in the major physical like they did say some
Yeah. That, yeah.
6,000 and then
X 1000.
Like my, wait,
education for people who like to like coding and also AI automation.
So I'm very, very grateful. But yes, in this one, we're very grateful. So we never did. But let's look at that. So what's really happening.
It's a lot of building out like the
And I didn't get it.
What it means.
I think this was.
in this context is both AI
Oh, well,
So you are not a tech. It's also not.
Oh, this is my first time trying this. Like, well,
Yeah, this is very new.
Okay.
But that's what other courses that we are doing. So.
Everyone's looking at my proposal.
Well,
It's kind of, I can't keep excited about it. Still,
it's fun.
setting up the-
Okay, yeah, so now it just shows you.
1% battery.
You wanna take a point?
But it's more like it's coming out so much. Like, you don't need Across the board, like it's very see how they can make it work well. Help them
And
build
maybe this.
basic micro tools. Deploy, or at least they can build for example, to see like this is or the track.
Maybe say, you know, here, we can connect this to this.
I think I can.
Here's the very, very basic. You know, very basic, like you don't know anything about it. And now, you know, it's not about design. Punch that code. Like what I said,
That's all right.
Service, I mean, I haven't read it.
Very creative feature.
If it's sunrise, we'll be doing one part is for big companies, and then this part is and they
Love it.
and for the AI.
I know this.
Have one retail side, bring out this is for my.
There are examples of other people's work, and they're in the same way, just take this.
The third one would be.
I'm against that. Against that. You know why? Because I teach entrepreneurship.
That's the simple.
And I was working
And
on an app for a company.
most of the years I was.
That's not where I went. I was like, I had the same issue. So I don't know.
Yeah, but I, so for the three brand, then you have.
And also,
Things on and off.
you know, there should be a better, you should have some IP on it. You know, at least first chance.
And a lot of them are interested, like, the main part,
We'll take
and that will
things
also,
and just because
my
it's
more
more
aspects.
in its
On the chain.
and then the rest. That's just the reality.
And get people to utilize it. Or if you know more.
And I think that this new era, is just like if we can ethically sustainable entrepreneurs. And, yeah, this is the.
So I had
Just, you know, I'm just there, I also do.
Yeah, especially when it's I would, concepts. And so I was like, oh, this is like, because this program,
Right.
that's how it all started.
You know, I was in the day. Came out.
And that's where I am.
Yes. There's so many finance people.
I still believe that it's really cool. Just
It's not.
want to make a project. You could.
I think you literally.
I want to make it. Not just to say I just to be sure how to do it. It's like working on slide of code. I actually literally went out like a right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, doing it. It's not just actually making one thing that you're trying to make. Because you know how to do it.
I think that's where they are, how I say
Yeah.
Where. Right. I think it's unlikely. But it's possible. If we get our shit coming in, start acting.
I was raising money.
See like what are the possible ones? And it'll give me like sometimes I think I'm going to figure out this. Like my guys not
Shut down the.
Yes,
I'm just saying.
The man. And then I was like, like basically take that and then combine that. Figure out how to actually make
If you are in the effort and you're
it doesn't understand culture. Yeah, but like, Let's say half of that, they're like mental muscle activity. The world that much easier. They don't have that. So it's like,
Infrastructure, the rest.
On the market, like, so that's all down there.
You know,
Rest there.
They make it easy.
It's a pretty regular.
Little nuance. There's moments where I have like display, there's like some of them say, like, I actually make it a great value, I like, no, you have to listen to like. Read all those little.
Probably don't have much to hire like these to buy. I don't like that for you.
People actually call this out on the phone. Whatever you need to say, done in a minute. Bring it to me. Every good thing and a good phone tag.
I just feel like.
Oh, like the, they record the voice memo. I haven't replied maybe this one was. Yeah. That's even more than two, like, where the call or even.
Yeah, whole concept. Yeah, that's
Last week. They set me up. You know what? So I went on his side and got done that. And he was looking at and I didn't find around with that. By the time I got it, actually, my mind was, I feel like they're probably gonna leave that guy. And when I did the actual interview, she was like, the same questions. Repeating what I'd already been telling her. I'm like, you know, they won't even let me talk more real. Little 6 seconds. I don't want to work. I already know it's gonna get on. You already have 7. I didn't want everything.
I never tried to have it before. But I understand what I'm saying. It's my last time trying.
Or you
can pay the
Previous experience, right?
Yeah, and then like,
I
just know.
Just
I always
have your background.
You know.
You already have a big hole.
You're being that boy. So like a PC company, managing. Why not? It's in eight, I'm very thankful.
Yeah, Gino used to work, he's retired.
Yeah,
He used to work as
Is that the country where-
And he did lots of
You guys-
things with the.
I was there last night.
That's recently in the last.
So the person that came to Hong Kong to work
Probably
with
just,
us.
I know.
That was.
No.
We actually actually had Hong Kong. I got to go back to Hong Kong.
There's a woman in charge of
Monday.
it.
And then I just
Leo,
stayed here.
what's that?
I don't And it was in the set.
I see how hard it's going.
Department and being mentioned.
Oh, yeah, she was like the world being open.
I joined
In the US, too, but
So
they don't understand war. So as a Nigerian, we also kind of. So the first time I worked with Chinese people, I was like, oh, this is great, because then we all had to. Being like,
Because I had a game design. It's that.
You know, no education. There's one that we're. And maybe my job is. Work. And you have the really.
I was there. I moved out. I get already out. All the big things on the part of the.
It's a lot. So I'm like, okay. So you
You're saying, so some of your mother wanted. Someone doesn't sound like.
Funny thing too, where like really, I don't know if you have any information coding. Learn how to code. Those your math thing, but now I get code is crazy when you learn how to divide.
But yeah, it's
Likely predictable, but there's a lot of stuff that you don't have intuition.
It's really, if they're
And I
not.
think that's what they struggle with is the lack of.
They you know, fence, alignment of the stars, and then how they repeat that.
Your country.
You know, so you see somebody.
They go around as a.
Under. And that really there. No. And you get some musicians. And they were saying. And they say, well, I'm not sure. I was hired. Yeah, I mean, and it's really.
I was gonna run it.
You know, the reason they got it is because millions of people.
What are you?
You know, musicians that are like. Guitar players, you know.
Well, this looks really good.
Once you learn, and I'm not. Once you know, like, Unamplified instrument, not all. You are controlling.
That's why.
Can do anything.
Yeah, I even, I've noticed. My mind.
But you also have to hear about, especially if oh, did you say this? How did it solve the?
Yeah. It's much harder to try and explain.
You know, that's.
Just change the order of things, it's like I was trying to correct something, just the
Or need. And it does.
Because, I was born here, but my family was.
And it's a very small thing, but it's like, no, this is like, it makes sense.
Western side is like,
AI is probably people that around. How to make things. They don't know. So you're stuff is really great. But then you start having to explain how to make something. It's essentially like talking to a developer. You ever got that?
I think that's.
An idea of what's and then basically based on all the time, so it's showing what it's explain how
They actually legally own it. Yeah, control it. And they
And I basically I made this for myself. And then I told the AI to make this website. With
language, that's.
No, I did that. And then I explained to it how to like, oh, make a TV. And I made like a little, kind of coveted.
So,
But yeah, I got the had to do a bunch of it.
Let's
get it.
Yeah.
So the vision was in your colors was the
Yeah.
that I've explained to you.
Yeah.
And then.
So the idea is that we're going to go to the very small group.
Yeah, that's fair, yeah. That's the whole, it's like, you know, I was bored, I just wanted to make like a little. Yeah, the whole point, is literally just a bunch of penny pictures. They're like, all kinds of colors.
Microsoft.
And they like Rocky, Dragon Ball. That's supposed to be Neo in the Matrix. And then Kanye West and Michael Jackson and then film and that's supposed to be me, because I was that thing. Yeah.
Most places you
Kurt Cobain, Daft Punk, Kill Bill.
Not that I can think. You can think of
And I can visit you.
You were on the video, right? I was didn't recognize you early on, and you were very brave young woman.
So I can
Just
visit
say, hey, I'm here.
Fine.
Yeah, it's so great. You know, you're in charge of our next one. You're on the list. Wow, thank you so much. I hope that was. Very good. Thank you. Mr. Rickett, I will make one. Just to make it five. Yeah.
Yeah, we have.
No, seriously. Yeah. Help with this?
Thank you.
Yeah.
You got my help.
Yeah. Because, you know, I think most of us are acting.
And I immediately was saying. I thought it was gonna take like 2 hours, to figure out how
Because I think.
to do stuff, yeah. It's not great. Never you want.
Thank you for putting that.
I told you that goal, but I know that you've been working.
And I checked that.
Yeah.
I know.
That's why I didn't try to.
Work for us.
Yeah.
So I'm also.
I'm doing it, and I have to. Say they do what they must. Yeah, because this is one game. I want to be like. So that will have to. While the actual everything. You know what it is? That's me, because then you can go.
He's very you'll give me more comfortable to teach and replicate.
Like, that.
I mean, it was, but it was really.
I actually tried other at homes, you know?
Okay.
So it's like.
I think
you still the same flow motion of
What you did already.
my experience with having, you know, one hand or one foot, removing all the, like, basically things, replacing 100% of the.
On the radius now?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
So
It's the only thing
so
to
like,
do
we
is
released a bunch of
Yeah.
documentation,
Yeah.
sign up last time.
So,
Yeah, I think you get that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I tried to make it what I did. And,
And you don't
so that's what I'm
I think the
saying.
big thing,
And what you see in
we got
the.
to finish the 26.
So you can see. Not even. Again.
Yeah,
I will let you know.
Can't do that. Like, I don't think it's wrong. You have to tell the LLM. And it takes like 200 questions. Very good. I started from how things simple to and trying to
If I send you a GitHub invitation, what would I send it to?
Give me a minute.
Okay.
Just my name.
Let me see one guy. I think it's fully anti-fascist. All the
paintbrush.
That's all. Get the vibes to-
Yeah,
So people will see
yeah.
how-
Computer running on.
Yeah, start off. Even the first has to be.
Can you put your name back in?
Right? You can't just, as someone with the, yeah, you can't join it first. And someone see it person. Exactly.
Try to teach.
Next week.
Okay, people.
Yeah.
This one, we last time we put together the work in like an hour before basically. Yeah. Because it's still a lot of basic levels basically.
It's sure.
Yeah.
So to complete non.
So,
Literally.
Yeah, basically.
So that's a corporate.
That'll be fun, and let's see if we can
Find for
launch something earth changing.
Okay, but right now it's like a thing public.
Well, thank you. Was it fun? Yeah.
We just do.
All my goals are just hard, but then that's
Now
we need to network.
see where the.
What did you think of the?
Another week. We do it like every week.
I mean, looking.
I still enjoy
Have your.
I could have done it.
Or do you have your.
Yeah, but it didn't color.
Just try any.
The reason I ask these questions is because perspective and whole, right?
I mean, I used to have a. That's when I started. Now it's like a new era. Opportunity.
Now, but you have an idea, like,
I started.
yeah. So I said,
I spoke, like, I know that, you know, I think you're.
I'm a
Yeah, I looked at like my didn't hear, like, I was pushing myself. But
Yeah, that's actually why I feel like
I think this is the
same.
Curbing
No,
hard.
Not that I didn't. It's just but
And how the work, ideas, they challenge. You know, you're interested.
Now there's the whole terror.
That's what I'm trying to take out.
this one.
Because everything else lies.
People who say,
Yeah, it's still on the I thought this is a machine art because I said.
I'm going to the next, like, 2 weeks, I think I'm gonna-
I said,
Yeah, exactly. Where you might, I'm still based in New York.
And there's
City.
some-
Yeah, I'm happy to have it.
I know something. I'm trying to figure out how to make it for that. Here in Hong Kong.
Just,
Yeah, but proposal are, we wanna make money, but they're not,
Yeah,
they're going on that direction.
The most
Why not be,
I just didn't know because AI.
So let's create a network of support.
Yeah, so
At the same time.
Use, yeah, the good and the bad side of us.
So that has been my brain that I make.
And, okay, so
Yeah.
What's your letter, David?
I'll see you okay, we have a lot of work to do.
One call.
Okay, no problem. And thank you so much for, all your posts about, ways to do this cheaper. Because this is really a very important part of what we're talking about.
Liberation.
Is it's liberation from, that's like the old days of,
Change,
Production and open source.
Okay.
Deep sea, man.
Yeah, that's like one.
See you later. No, are you off?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, bye. Guys, see you next time. Bye, guys. Take care.
That's been, probably about 62 hours.
You go back. Oh, we are, actually, now we're connected.
Yeah.
We are connected.
But it has the collaboration.
And also, we need to part of the group. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I did.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start typing.
Thank you so much.
I guess it was you that.
Yes, I hope so.
Good to meet you.
Okay, I'll see you.
See you. You wanna do that? Or-
Oh, yeah, I'll do that.
And then, I don't know what your schedule is, but, we can
So,
chat or talk or
yeah,
notes.
yeah, so I won't
Yes, I
have a
used.
ton of time.
And then I got the design.
That's not right. The invitation to join, okay, there
Let's
we go.
go. So then,
But,
I got my PR in
Invitation.
2024
Alright.
last year.
yes, I'm there,
So
I'm in
then
there.
design company.
I,
Technically, I'm also
Let me-
freelancing. Yeah.
okay, I know what I'm going to do. Later on, I'm going to connect onto this GitHub and I'm gonna push the code that I made onto
I'm
it. So
also in that
that just,
position.
And then
trying to find
somehow,
work,
if you can, like, if there's a
uh,
forum
you
or
know,
something, like,
clients,
let's,
what I'm looking at.
instead of just saying it's this, it's that, how, maybe I have already got a sort of an outline, like a high level
if you,
thing.
if inside the GitHub thing, you can make a readme, like a text file.
Okay.
If you literally just copy paste the
That
plan
into a readme.
Yeah.
and then have it there,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we can all just look at that as the plan.
That's what I'll do because you're a coder and that's how coders do it, right? And also, I'm gonna do no
Notion.
Notion.
I love Notion.
You do?
Yeah, I use it all the
Looking
time.
at that.
Okay, well, I gotta either
Literally, I use it all the time.
learn from you or learn from a video.
So certainly like.
Notion is basically just a giant, like, I'm assuming you've used Notes on Apple. Notion is literally just, like, I use it all the time.
So what do you just keep talking? You just give
You can-
headings and.
So Notion is like a, kind of like on your computer where you have folders, but it's in the cloud. So it's online and everyone can technically just access the same file.
As long as you send them the link to invite them to that particular thing. It's not like everything.
Yeah, so I just use it for everything, like I split it into like stuff based in Hong Kong, stuff based in coding,
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
based in my
I think
econ
design is our.
stuff. When I was working with Vita, Darken.
Oh, right, okay.
or whatever,
Yeah.
or like I'm working on an idea
just
yesterday for coding and I asked ChatGPT a bunch of stuff.
Oh,
I
you can
put in
actually,
here.
and it's.
Oh, well, not in here, but just in, and I copy
Oh, and then
pasted it,
you
yeah.
copy paste.
And then, yeah, cause I'm just trying sometimes.
Because this is what I want
The
to do.
red or the blue.
And I have done it with some other projects, like the Great Canadian Wall. It's on Notes. It's also live if you want to take a look. It's
So
kind of
now
fun.
we don't have any issues later on.
Like, yeah, Great Canadian Wall.ca. It's actually .com as well, but it's Greek Canadian wall, so I use the CA domain, but, it works. It works. Now it has to be.
Oh, right.
And I got to put graphics in it properly. I'm learning how not to screw up the code in GitHub by, messing up a line space or a, like, do it right, man, because if you F it off on.
I'm probably quite surprised, sure.
Never turn this on.
Yeah,
All right.
Look at
really,
this.
interesting. Wow, that's really interesting.
See you, folks. Goodbye, everybody. I don't know if there's anybody there, but there we go.